Hi friends, today we are going to solve Chief Hopper problem from the greedy algorithm. Mind you, this problem is called a hard problem which would make which would require us to optimize the problem. So there will be two ways I would be trying to solve this problem. One is the brute force approach and one would be using some trick. So generally, using brute force approach, this problem would show runtime error. So let's try this. Chipbot is playing a old DOS game. There is a row of buildings of different heights arranged at each index along a number line. The bot starts at building 0 at a height of 0. You must determine the minimum energy his bot needs at the start so that he can jump to the top of each building without his energy going below 0. Units of height relate directly to the units of energy. The bot energy level is calculated as follows. If the bot energy level is less than the height of the building, his new energy would basically become bot energy minus height bracket in bot energy, and if the bot energy is greater than the height of the building, his new energy equal to bot energy plus bot energy minus height. This is the basic concept. So here are a few examples provided us, so which is great. So let's start by writing some code. So to make sure that what would be the initial starting energy that the bot energy should start with, so that he is able to hop over all the buildings. There are a few more things to consider, but let's skip it as of now. I would want you to go through all the sample inputs, because if you look at the problem statement, it is not very clear. If you go through these sample inputs and try to optimize your problem accordingly, I think it would give you a further understanding of the problem and an approach to solve it. I always do this. I generally look for the sample inputs and outputs to write my code properly, because sometimes things are not very clear. So we'll start with a minimum value of that array. Minimum value of that array minus 2. The reason being, I don't know, because I optimized it and it turns out that if you are starting from the least value, then it always works. And let's take a range of few thousand. So from that value, we keep on increasing our range. And let's create a variable bot energy equal to I. So basically whichever value it's in, so initial bot energy would be I, and we will check with that initial bot energy if is the chip hopper able to surpass or move throughout the entire section of the buildings or the height of the buildings. So that's the goal. And let's create an iter x equal to 0, which would keep a track of the number of buildings the bot has passed for height in array. Um, en the spelling errors, always be careful. Bot energy equal to bot energy plus bot energy minus height. So here, using this statement, basically I'm trying to solve both of this condition. So when the height is higher than the existing bot energy, which would give us a negative value. For example, the bot energy value is 1 and the height is 3, just for example, then our value would be -2. So here the value you'll be getting is bot energy -2. If the bot energy value is higher, for example 3 minus 2, then our automatic value would be plus. So using this statement, just one line, I have solved both of these conditions. So try to write a code in as less line as possible, and once you have, if you're able to suppress it, means if you are able to suppress past that building, once that building is been completed, it's always, you have to increment the number of buildings you have crossed. So iterx, iter is a function, so try to give a name which is not same as Python functions, inbuilt functions, but generally if you also give it Python is very smart, so it would understand. It has the ability to distinguish between inbuilt function and the variable name that you have defined, but which is not always the best practices. So that's why instead of iter, I write iterx. So if the current bot energy is less than 0, then we'll be breaking and we'll be going for a higher value of I. As it's in for loop, so value of I would be incrementing. Is less than 0, forgot to write 0, and else we'll be checking if current value of iterx is equal to the length of array. Oopsie. Then we'll be returning the current value of I. So this is the basic code. Let's run it. I hope it would pass. And this is a, mind you, this is a brute force approach that we have been applying here. Although I've used minimum, but it does not matter. Still, it's a brute force approach. There should be a better way of solving this issue. Wait a minute. What? Okay, it passed all the test cases out of surprise. I'm not sure why, but it did. So cheers to me. There could be another way of solving this problem, which would be using a mathematical trick. So let's check. This I don't know why this is a hard problem if it's able to, if it's getting solved by an brute force approach. Still, let's write another function, another code, which would be optimized version. If our initial bot energy is 0, here we are using a mathematical formula to write this for I in range. Basically, you would be looping it from the back side, means you would be reversing the array to loop it. So for I in range of length of array -1, and we would be going till 0. So our end syntax should be -1, and the step count is again -1. So our bot energy would become math.cell, which would take the highest value. So the current bot energy plus array, the height of the building, divide by 2. So this would give us the minimum bot energy that is required for the bot to have in order to pass or in order to jump over all the buildings in that array. So return return bot energy, and let's submit the code. Okay, made a mistake. Yeah, it should be CEIO, ceiling, which would mean. There is also a function called math.floor, which would take the lowermost value. Okay. Let's see if I've made a mistake. Okay. The total value should be divided by 2. So that's the mistake. The summation of bot energy plus array of I should be divided by 2. This is a very basic, not I don't say basic, but it's a problem in which you are able to solve it. So this is the basic idea. Although if you ask me which approach to use for this, because this functionality would not be clear if you look at this problem statement, this simple one line of code. But I would, as I always try to say to every people, try to solve the problem first using brute force approach if nothing comes to your mind. And once you have able to solve it, or once you have able to solve the maximum number of test cases using that is permissible, unless those are going to runtime error, then try to optimize your code. This is the approach I always try to follow. And if you're doing that, then you would be basically have to find patterns in the problem statement to come up with this type of mathematical logic, which might not be instantly clear to you, but I would say go for it. And sometimes I've seen many problems like in game theory or in many other things. There are patterns to be seen in these problem statements, which sometimes are not very obvious. So that's the issue. But still, some of the problems test our skills. Some of the problems could test our, how to say, mental condition, or they're looking for some extra feature like seeing patterns, like in, for example, in analysis. Data analysis is all about seeing patterns, feature recognition. So those type of problem statement generally would try to look in a candidate how they're able to see a pattern in the problem and how they are coming up with mathematical formula to deal with that problem. So in those cases, this type of problems comes very handy. And as I always keep you reminding you, if you find that I could improve upon this video, maybe increase or should take more time in order to explain you each and every step, please comment below. And if you have a better way of solving this similar problem with much more better clarity, then please again contribute and comment below so that maybe I could include those in the GitHub repository that I'm trying to create, or make a separate video if it's really good. So those things could be done. And as always, thanks for watching this video and stay tuned.